This is Around the Bases with Jon Heyman, our MLB insider at the New York Post, where we get to talk about four topics that caught John's eye. And we got to start off with the latest with the Yankees. Ton of injury news came out yesterday, John, and it started with Carlos Rodon and then ended with Harrison Bader. It seems like the injuries are piling up for the Yankees. What did you take away from the news that came out yesterday with them?
Yeah, yesterday was a rough day in Yankee camp. I had just arrived. I hope I'm not a jinx. I feel a little guilty about it. It was a little rough yesterday. Brian Cashman gave the pitching injury news in the late morning, certainly low-lighted, I guess you would say, by the Rodon injury, which obviously that's a big deal. 6-year, $162 million contract. Now, he's been through the same injury before. They're saying it's muscle, not ligament, so that's a plus. And he did have this crop up a couple times last year, which was his best season in the major leagues. So he was obviously able to weather it last year, and hopefully he's able to do it again this year. He said he felt a little better today when I checked back with him, but he is shut down for at least a week. So a little bit of a worry there on Rodon. They are expecting him to be ready sometime in April, or at least hoping they'll be ready sometime in April, but not at the start of the season. But it's a long list of pitching injuries. Obviously, we know about Montas being out for the year or close to the year. We'll see about that. And then, of course, Lou Trevino was revealed to have a sprain yesterday of his elbow. So that's a situation worth keeping an eye on. He will be out a bit longer than Rodon, or at least anticipated to be out longer than Rodon. And they've obviously got Canely right now on the being sidelined. So it's a lot of pitching injuries right now for the Yankees. And Bader is another injury in center field, rib cage area. It's an oblique, they're calling it. And it sounded today, although they're not officially saying the length that he will be out, Aaron Boone told the writers who went to Lakeland, I was not one of them. I stayed back to try to talk to Bader, but I think he was in that whirlpool for about 3 hours because we waited for him for 2.5 hours and didn't get him. We'll get him tomorrow, but they say nothing official yet. But Aaron Boone did reveal that it's going to be a bit of time for him.
Are you concerned overall with this starting rotation and the way that it's taking shape now, considering Rodon, Nestor Cortez at a hammy at the beginning of spring training, and obviously the Frankie Montas before the season, before the spring training start? Are you concerned with it?
I'm glad you mentioned Nestor. I talked to him today. He's disappointed. He could have been the ace of the WBC team for Team USA. And the Yankees actually only have 3 players in the WBC. And we thought that would benefit them in terms of injuries, and to this point, it has not. It was, again, a rough day yesterday. Unfortunately, it's a hamstring with Cortez, and they're not expecting him to be out too long. So I think that one should be okay, and they obviously need him. That front 3 still will look great with Severino. Cole's looked really good so far in spring, so still have a great front 3, but depth is an issue, and they gave away a lot of depth in the deals for Montas and for Efros. With the Cubs, who is also out with Tommy John. He'll likely be out for the season this year. So a lot of pitching injuries, unfortunate for the Yankees. Still have a very good team, but Rodon and Bader are the 2 worrisome ones right now.
And just to wrap up this entire thing, could you see the Yankees making a possible move before opening day to help address the starting rotation?
Well, Brian Cashman said nothing hot and heavy right now, and that's not unusual. And these injuries just cropped up recently. Other than Montas, we knew coming into camp was a bit of an issue. I think there aren't a ton of starting pitchers available. Everybody needs starting pitching, with the possible exception of Cleveland and Seattle. Seattle does have a little bit of an excess. The ex-Met Chris Flexen seems to be available right now. He looks targeted for the bullpen after 2 good years in a row for the Mariners. 3.61 ERA 2 years ago, 3.73 last year. He's been good in spring. And obviously, if they did talk to Seattle, Seattle is well aware that the Yankees are in kind of a desperate situation right now. So be a tough trade. Maybe later on there might be more pitching available, but I mean, nobody really wants to give up pitching. And the Yankees obviously took a chance trading a lot of depth JP Sears was pretty good last year. He had 2 outings where he gave up no runs. I mean, we didn't see that from Montas once, and he was just one of several included to get Montas. And right now that looks like they're just a little bit unfortunate in terms of the injuries, particularly the guys who were recently acquired: Trevino, Montas, and now Rodon. Although, again, Rodon, they're expecting him to be back fairly soon into the season.
Well, speaking of Yankee acquisitions, obviously last season, Andrew Benintendi was acquired by the Yankees to play left field. And in the offseason, he didn't re-sign with the Yankees, instead choosing to sign with the White Sox. What did you make of that in the contract that he got from the White Sox? It seemed like the Yankees weren't willing to go the extra length in terms of years or dollars. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, the Yankees were willing to go 4 years. I'm not sure if that was the official offer, but they were willing to go 4 years. The White Sox went 5 years for $75 million, which is actually the biggest contract in the history of the White Sox. A little surprising. I remember when they had the biggest contract in baseball and they signed Albert Bell for $65 million. That was a couple of decades ago. The White Sox have been a little more cost conscious in recent years, haven't done that. I think Benintendi is very happy there. I saw him in Glendale a few days ago, Glendale, Arizona, and he told me this is where he wanted to be and this is where he should be. He is from Cincinnati, did go to Arkansas to play baseball, was with the Royals, though he was traded over there. He's a Midwestern kid, and there were rumors going around through the winter that it was going to be a difficult re-sign for the Yankees. Now, he played very, very well for the Red Sox, big market team in the East, and he played pretty well for the Yankees before injuring himself, having that hamate re-injury of the hamate bone in his wrist. He had 254, but he hit over 300 for the season. So this is one of the 2 recommendations that Aaron Judge had when he came back to the Yankees and signed back for 9 years, $360 million. He said, let's keep Benintendi and let's sign a big pitcher. Well, they signed the big pitcher. That's Rodon. They were not able to keep Benintendi. At this moment, Benintendi looks more needed than ever. Hicks has been okay in left field, but right now they're an outfielder short with Bader out, presumably at least to the start of the season. And they're going to have to figure out what to do in center. If they had Benintendi, you could put Benintendi in left and Hicks in center. They seem reluctant, and I asked Brian Cashman about this today. They seem very reluctant to have Aaron Judge play in center, and that was part of the reason they got Bader, was so they can keep Judge in right and don't risk injury. It's a little more of a toll on your body to play center field. Now, Judge was great in center, but they want to keep him in right just to keep him healthy.
Yeah, it's fascinating you actually mentioned that Aaron Judge had said that to the Yankees, before re-signing. Like that's an interesting nugget there. John, let's move to third and let's talk about some of these prospects that are catching your eye. You wrote about it in the New York Post this week that some of these big time prospects are making their impact already on these clubs. What are some of those prospects that you really noticed so far?
Yeah, and we've got 2 in Yankee camp and a couple in Mets camp as well. Beatty and Mauricio, very impressive in Mets camp. Both could play third base. They're more likely to be sent back to the minors. Obviously, Eduardo Escobar is the starting third baseman, and they have Guillorme, who's probably the best defensive player on the team, as a backup. So, even without signing Carlos Correa, third base is their position of greatest depth. Beatty, terrific hitter. Mauricio showing big power, really surprising folks with the power that he's shown. And of course, the Yankees, Anthony Volpe has been very, very good. I saw him at second base yesterday. He looked good there. He's looked good at shortstop. He's looked good in the batter's box. Only a question, very young guy, whether they're going to bring him up. I only played something like 22 or 23 games at the AAA level. So coming in, it was a long shot that Anthony Volpe was going to start at shortstop for the Yankees. I would say there's some chance now that he will be the starting shortstop. I still kind of think Peraza, who did very well the last month of the season, is the favorite. IKF, Kiner Falefa, seems to be running third to me. They don't put it that way. They say it's the 3-man competition. I talked to Kiner Falefa, nice fellow, said he wants to do better than he did last year. He certainly hurt him a bit that he was benched for a little while in the playoffs. And but he suggested that he's happy to be a guy who moves around for the Yankees. He won a Gold Glove at third. They're going to play him in the outfield a little bit, but to me, that's a sign that they're going to even use him in the outfield, where they actually may need help at this point that he might be another utility man, another high-priced utility man. Obviously, they've got LeMahieu already, who's terrific and can play all over the infield. But I would say right now it's Peraza running first and Volpe running second only by virtue of the fact that he has limited experience. He's actually been outstanding down here. But a lot of great phenoms in camps. The Cardinals have 3. Jordan Walker, very impressive. 20-year-old slugger. He was hitting balls out to where McGuire hit him out in Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. They have Mason Wynn, who throws 100 miles an hour across the diamond from shortstop, a terrific athlete. You think of Ozzie Smith a little bit. I'm probably getting ahead of myself there, but I've seen a few. Ethan Salas, 16-year-old catcher in Padres camp. I mean, they expect him to be a superstar. Outman with the outfielder with the Dodgers has looked very good, batting 400 out in Dodgers camp. So lots of good prospects right now. But the Yankees, as I said, Mets and Yankees have a couple each, and Jason Dominguez very much improved. The guy got a big bonus. They spent almost all their international bonus money on him 1 year, and it took him a year or so, and showed such great improvement last year. And then this year, he's looked really good. I mean, he's really has a good idea of the strike zone, has big power, and hit a bomb of a home run in a loss yesterday. Another one.
I don't think that ball's landed yet.
Yeah, and I asked him how he refrained. I give him credit for doing the interviews in English because, I mean, his English is a lot better than my Spanish, I'll tell you that. And how he refrained from doing the bat flip. And, he said we were down 8 runs or 6 runs, something like that. And he just didn't think it was right. So that shows a little maturity for me. We wanted to see the bat flip on that bomb, but give him credit for that. So Yankees have a couple great prospects, even more than that I've seen, at least 2 that made my list. Mets have a couple, and the Cardinals have a few as well.
So many young, talented players that we can't wait to see make their major debuts and contribute to some of these big clubs. And John, let's head home and wrap all this up. The World Baseball Classic is underway. Just give me your initial thoughts thus far and what you've seen and your initial impressions.
No shock, Ohtani is the headline so far. I mean, they're getting started out in Asia, of course, and Ohtani has been brilliant. I'm now watching a replay of his second game. First game was throwing 100 miles an hour. I mean, give the guy credit. He's a free agent after the year. So many of our pitchers, I would say the top 12 U.S. starting pitchers are not in the tournament. And I'm not blaming Verlander for not going. I mean, he's 40 years old. He had Tommy John surgery more than a year ago. I mean, Scherzer's up in his late 30s.
Garrett Cole.
You've got other guys. I mean, Garrett Cole's not there, and Cease and Fried. We've got some good starters, but the best starters are on the other team. Our lineup is the best. You've got McNeil, the batting champion, is your number 9 hitter, and you've got superstars up and down that lineup. Just an incredible lineup, but I wonder if we're going to win. Look at Team Japan. They've got Yu Darvish as their number 2 pitcher. He'd easily be the ace of the Team USA. Urias is pitching for Mexico. You got Alcantara for the Dominicans. So some of the best pitchers in the major leagues are pitching in the WBC, just not for Team USA. So going to be interesting test for Mark DeRosa and his USA squad, which looks like the best lineup, which is saying something because obviously Venezuela, Dominican, these are spectacular lineups. Japan, of course, very good lineup, but Team USA's got the best lineup, but not the best starting pitching. Give credit to the guys who did go. Adam Wainwright, he is a KG got veteran, and he's going to do his best out there. And they've got some young kids out there, but I don't think that just looking at that lineup would suggest we're a big favorite, and I really don't think that's the case. But Ohtani's the story so far: the hitting, the pitching, best player in the game, and a free agent to be. And again, give him credit for taking part in this when you've got probably $500 million or more on the line after the year. And we've seen in the past WBC some guys go out there and do get injured. Ranger Suarez is suffered some kind of injury today, hopefully not too serious. We've seen other guys pumping up to 100 or 101 And it's pretty early to do that, but maybe not for Ohtani, who's just a magician.
He really is. And it's awesome to see some of the crowds and some of the fans of these countries just going nuts to see their teams play. And it's really cool to see. It really is. Jon, thank you as much as always, giving all us your insight and details and all these stories. And we're looking forward to speaking to you again next week, man.
All right, let's do it next Friday. Thanks, Ryan.
Sounds good.